All right, welcome to the Contractor Show. I've got something special for you today, and it's a little different. I know we're the Contractor Show. I know that's what we talk about, but I've got a good friend of mine. He's a leader in the industry and one of the experts in brokerage. So we'll introduce Jake.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, because I know you had served some time with our country, which I'm greatly appreciative for. I haven't told you that yet, but I do. So why don't you tell us and the audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So the first part of my career out of college, I was a naval officer stationed out here in Mayport, Florida. And so I did 3 tours on ships. Navy sent me to Albuquerque, New Mexico, to help out the Air Force is the way I like to put it. And during that time of shore duty, I kind of explored, doing something else on the outside other than the military. And that's where I kind of stumbled upon commercial real estate, got plugged in actually with NAIOP there in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And a lot's happened since then. But kind of to sum it up now, kind of what I do here in Jacksonville is office and industrial. And with the firm that we work with, we do, from scratch from, dirt, that's from the development side. Most of ours is existing, but what else is kind of from scratch in the sense of if it's a vacant building and kind of what to do with it. We help manage, lease, then ultimately turn that around for whether it's a long hold period or a sale side of things. So it's brokerage of primarily office industrial, but we have also clients that have a diverse portfolio of different types of properties. And so we've kind of got enough experience in others that we can help them out. We don't have to send them off to that other team in the department.
So how long would you say you've been in the brokerage?
Brokerage, 6 years total. I think that's coming up here. April was 6 years for me.
So it hasn't been that long. It's only been 6 years.
Only 6 years, but a lot's happened to that. And then I started off in the business in Albuquerque, and then there was an opportunity to help open up an office here locally with a different firm that I'm with now. Great opportunity, thankful for everybody, but I think now I'm where I'm at and where I'll be for a good long while.
Gotcha. So what I've enjoyed about you, because we met each other probably 3 years ago.
Yep.
I know the owner personally, great guy. And ultimately, you see an opportunity in the marketplace. You see an opportunity where there was a need with another firm.
Yep.
So how, there's a lot of people out there that are probably in a similar transition.
Yep.
So how was that transition for you? Was it an existing relationship?
So it was through the alumni network that I had here of Virginia Military Institute. That's where I went to undergrad. And so I'd met the individual, and that's in the mode that I was in. When you relocate to a different market, you get in front of anybody and everybody to know who people are, who the players are.
Relationship.
And I'd already met with him, but we had actually a mutual mentor. And so it just kind of happened. It's like, there's Jake, you should probably talk to Duke, so it's Duke Addison with Addison Commercial Real Estate, who I work with now, and then apparently that's also the story that the mentor told him is, hey, just and basically really what it boiled down to is it wasn't anything against the company or anything. It was just I had a better understanding of what I needed to be able to operate and perform well.
So in other words, there's I'm like this as well. We all have each state of ourselves that we get very powerful in, right?
Yep.
And ultimately, it depends on what level you are in your career and your mindset, and where do you really fit in. It's like a new hire. I tell anyone when they come on, assume it takes you 4 to 6 weeks to truly find where you fit into a company.
Yep.
Now there's some odd ones out there where they just start clicking.
Yep.
Right off the bat.
Yep.
But ultimately, it takes you a while to fit in, and sounds like you were able to find that.
Yes. So thankful.
That's great. That's great. So, in the industry, so do you prefer industrial office? What do you really what makes you tick?
It's in the industrial side. I grew up in a very rural agricultural world in Texas, small town in Texas, and I love that stuff. I've being in engineering and undergrad, I've calculated 3-phase. Mm-hmm. I've operated 3-phase back in high school in the agricultural world, and then now I get to sell 3-phase. And so with it, I like the people and I could just quickly connect with them a little bit better. Though right now, and what happens is office is a great opportunity depending on the property, depending on the situation.
Sure.
But as far as when you kind of get a standstill a little bit on the industrial side, that there's not a lot of availabilities, there's not a lot of vacancy, which from a brokerage perspective, that means that there's not a lot of deal volume. And so that's where it just so happens we've got those clients that have those both assets, and we're able to add value and respond to the market accordingly.
Yep. Now, is that more on the new construction side of things, so new developments? Or are you seeing maybe investors are coming into Jacksonville buying old property? Are they demolishing, renovating? What do you see is happening
A
right now?
lot of redevelopment, a lot of new players to the market where they wouldn't have ever thought of Jacksonville before, but it's investors chasing returns. Also, we've got a lot of good things despite office market and the setbacks that we've had over the last couple of years nationally. Jacksonville's performing pretty well because we're able to take what some of the office product and supply that just not feasible to keep back into office. That's going to multifamily. Yeah. That's and so with it, that keeps our office supply, what we have, modernized to some degree. And it ultimately just kind of helps us out with a little bit of the numbers as well, so that it's attractive for other companies to come in and take space. And the space that I operate on the office side is more of the kind of value office, right? It's not I don't do Class A much. It's those that the cost is the number one factor. And so with it, we've got some great clients that have a great number of office buildings to choose from. Then at the end of the day, get them in with as minimal pain as possible, and also get them what they actually need to function correctly.
There's a lot of pain out there.
A lot of pain.
Especially in today's market.
Yep.
Well, this is just speaking to the staff today. We've got a project out of Miami that we had got awarded. And we got a verbal on this, and we're starting to finalize the budgets. And this is actually a design build approach, and it's been amazing just in the past. And prices are still going up. We know inflation is at its all-time highs. What, 8 or 9% now?
Yeah,
I think it's ridiculous. But just seeing where numbers are today, it makes it difficult to present numbers.
Yeah,
it makes it difficult to present numbers because it's
difficult to receive numbers, right? And that's where
it is, and it makes our job difficult as well. But it's that's where we come in and we do our best to educate the client. And ultimately, if we can present the story, present the inflation and cost of materials and and et cetera, and it's just about telling that story.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we do an incredible job at. So, contractors. So you work with a lot of contractors. We got a couple deals going on together, which we're grateful of.
Yes.
So what do you see in the marketplace when it comes to contractors and in your line of work? How do they best complement each other? In other words, if you could shake that magic 8-ball, what's the perfect case scenario for you when a deal comes across your desk?
Well, I mean, a lot of guys want us to throw them the bid as soon as something comes to the table, but there's got to be the existing relationship, because anytime I pitch somebody, a contractor that's on my list of recommended guys, it's got to be kind of tested out. I'm not just going to
throw your reputation.
My reputation, because I guess we pride ourselves in our office. It's anybody can throw up a listing, anybody can put up a sign, but actually getting deals to closings, getting to execution, even getting to lease execution is only a portion of the process. So it's really getting to the finish line through the occupancy and being able to get tenants to their spaces so they can operate, make money and revenue and be able to pay the rent. And so back to with contractors, the relationship starts well before any deal is shared. And I think that's where I've got a lot of great friends, many friends on the contractor side, but where I try to I'm more in the people business than I'm in the real estate business, in the sense that there's certain companies that are a little bit better fitted for, or at least this is my perception, is that there's certain jobs that are a little bit better geared for different people. I mean, there's a $20,000 job is not going to be that valuable to you, and unless I can pitch it in a certain way, right? But because your team, your model, it's fit in a certain way. And so as I've learned the different contractors' models, and then who I can trust and who's appropriate, and also too, we're finding out existing trusted relationships. They're going after a different market, which means that we're not necessarily going back to those same guys anymore. Right. And I think that's fair to say for owners that have had, I think one of our clients had a relationship of 60, 70 years plus with one particular contractor, not solely, but primarily. And I think that that company's probably also, both of them have different aligned values. They're still going to stay with each other, but there's going to be different projects that are outside their scope that, 10, 20 years ago, they would have been able to handle because of the changing of the market. And so that's kind of where I always help my clients evaluate or reevaluate their current work, what's upcoming. At the end of the day, it's really, to speak on the pricing, is I'm even comfortable moving forward sometimes without the full pricing, as long as we know who we're working with, to be able to, when that stuff comes in, how do you handle what happens when we don't know what that price is, or even, because even if somebody gives you, I would almost kind of question when you get a lot of solid pricing, we've got to ask some more questions on that. So So
Yeah, no, definitely, and that's what makes your relationship so easy, especially, because for us general contractors, just like you've got multiple contractors you work with.
Yep.
We've got multiple brokers and industry experts that we work with, and if we can just be in alignment with each other, be honest about where are we currently trending as a company, because the growth of Ladson is important for you to know, because you may get an opportunity that you think Ladson might be interested in, or even vice versa. So, deals can come from us to brokers as well.
Yep.
And it's got to make sense for each other. So being in alignment, and I'll talk about this with marriage, right? So my wife and I did a couples retreat about getting in alignment with each other on vision. The same thing is in our industry. You got to be in alignment with each other, because ultimately everything is based on relationships in the industry. And, the more and more I go into this business, the more I see how small the industry actually is.
Well, and even on the brokerage side, to our success, I need to have a strong, somewhat of a or at least a trusted relationship with some of the competing brokers as well. And so I'm actually kind of get excited when certain other brokers on the other side, because it's like they're going to be bringing a lot to the table. Whenever it gets to that, like a stalemate or something else, somebody who would be able to help advise both their client and there's that trusted norms, and then also to kind of get creative at times. And that's where that's another aspect of our industry, even from our competitors. It excites me to have certain people on the other side of the deal.
I'm glad you touched base on that, because I was talking to the staff this morning in our staff meeting, and we talk about trade contractors every single staff meeting. Who's doing a great job? Who's not? Do we need another electrician or a fire sprinkler? What is it? Because ultimately, we're relationship driven. We like to use a lot of the same guys job to job. We understand expectations, how billing works, how supervision works, reporting, etc. But when one's not performing and we're having a hard time finding, let's say a painter. We know they're everywhere, but let's say it's a painter. I know that I can pick up the phone and call one of my competitors. And ask, who are you having luck with? Who's not performing? And more times than not, the guys that aren't performing is the same guy that's not performing for the number one or number two competitor. So you're right. I mean, and that's the great thing about Jacksonville, is that it's all relationship driven. We can all call each other. And ultimately, I would rather lose a job, and this actually came from Jesse Colbriff. When I first started, he says, I'd rather lose a job to someone that's reputable than knowing I've never seen in my life. And that stuck with me. So Jesse, I appreciate it. And Jesse, we bid a lot against each other, so I respect him and Brittany over there. So
great team.
Yeah, it is. So what do you see? Because I know, me personally, I think we're going to come into a recession at some point. And not to get too professional, but what do you foresee is going to happen over the upcoming months or years?
No, I definitely see something similar. So it's just a question of how deep or how much of that bottoming out are we going to have. And I would say with Jacksonville and the position we are in on both pricing of cost of living, cost of goods, and labor, we've got a lot of major milestones on transportation that's just going to expand what we're able to, capacity and what we're going to be able to do here through the port and through the rail side. I would say we're going to stay fairly competitive as pricing becomes more and more of an issue for other areas and other ports, other labor markets. I think we're going to be positioned well to, if we don't drop down by much, I think we're going to maintain or plateau for a while. Obviously, maybe a slowdown, and but I think with our healthcare here, because people aren't getting drastically healthier, nationwide, I would say it's probably trending the other way, meaning that I think that the industries here are going to continue and keep it us afloat, and so then it's a matter of question of then how fast are we going to build, because I know on the housing side on multifamily, it is still that hasn't slowed down at all. Availability of debt on their side is still very, very favorable to be able to address that housing shortfall. And so with it, I see, so a general comment to summarize, I would say kind of plateauing for a period of time. So then it's a question of how long is that going to last?
Yeah. Well, I think we're all hoping it's just a correction, right?
Yep.
Just a slight correction. And I'm not saying it's not needed. I think it is needed.
Yep.
Even for us to try to keep up with the bidding the way it is, and we've got to get more selective on things. But, ultimately, I think, at the rate we're all going, quality seems to drop a little bit.
Yep.
And
I agree.
And it's just, it's not fair to the end of the client. It's not fair to you guys. It's not fair to us.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping for a correction.
Okay.
So let's wrap this up, because I want to ask you one more question. And this is really based on the trades and general contractors.
Okay.
from a broker standpoint, what's the one recommendation you have to contractors when it comes to making deals happen for you? Because my motto is that if there's no deal on that end, we don't have a deal. And the same thing for our trade. So it's everybody coming together. Let's be open book. Let's be transparent about where we are in the economy, or not the economy. I would say material wise and cost wise. But what's the one thing that you would like to see a shift in, if there was any? I put you on the spot with that one.
Yeah, no. Let me just think just for a moment.
Yep. Because, I'm thinking along the lines of flooring contractors. Oftentimes flooring contractors can work directly with property managers, which ultimately you guys can work with on leasing deals.
Sure.
So, what does that look like if you were to look from the outside in to say, okay, Jesse, if there was a slight shift, whether it comes with this mindset or in the industry, what do you think that would be? Is it really the way that people are working together? Is it the way that things are delivered? Is it maybe just becoming more personable with clients?
I think it's getting a little bit more personal versus transactional, and that's a tough one because I make so many calls in a day. It's hard not to be to a certain degree transactional. So for contractors and vendors, it's kind of going the extra step sometimes, and I would say it's an easy way to describe it would be during that work. They're actually performing the work. It's kind of going the extra mile a little bit in the sense of, it may only be a $10 difference or some smaller end, but I think that goes a long way. Not that it's people are penny pinching, but it's that they've got your back, and hey, this is back to that whole mentality of it's not the cost of things, it's who you have with you whenever you're going through that. And so as long as they see that more from a relationship standpoint, meaning, I can't set the precedence with going cheap on this route, but it's helping them see that bigger picture.
Yep.
Where and it's a hard thing to say in a market that we're just, I know guys are trying to get work and when and where they can, but again, maybe it's seeing the bigger picture more often.
Yeah.
And not just what else can I get, from a job perspective, what else can I do for you? And I take the same approach on the brokerage side. It's like, well, I don't deal with this aspect of this particular aspect, but I can get you the guy that knows how to do that. Even if I don't get any money out of the deal, it's adding value to the process through my strategic connections. And so maybe it's looking outside their scope of work and how they can be of value, which is a hard thing to do, but being in it long enough, asking enough questions to owners, so it's not that it's the questions you ask that will get you the business right.
That's so true, and that's what I feel a lot of as well, especially with this company, is that we're not. I'm guilty. Yes, some days I feel transactional.
Yeah.
You pick up the phone, you send emails. That's transactional. Sure. But I think we all need to do a better job on let's slow down from time to time and let's truly learn about the person. Because me bringing value to John or Travis or Taylor, they're all different types of value.
Yeah.
So you've got to understand what the value is that they're looking for or that they need in that current situation. So, awesome. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
this is fantastic.
Absolutely. So we'll do it again. And appreciate you guys watching another episode of the Contractor Show. See you next time. Prices are still going up. We know inflation is at its all-time highs, 8 or 9% now.
Yeah,
I think it's ridiculous. But just seeing where numbers are today, it makes it difficult to present numbers.
Yeah,
it makes it difficult to present numbers because it's
difficult to receive numbers, right? And that's where
it is, and it makes our job difficult as well. But that's where we come in and we do our best to educate the client. In other words, if you could shake that magic 8-ball, what's the perfect case scenario for you when a deal comes across your desk?
Well, I mean, a lot of guys want us to throw them the bid as soon as something comes to the table, but there's got to be the existing relationship, because anytime I pitch somebody, a contractor that's on my list of recommended guys, it's got to be kind of tested out. I'm not just going to throw
reputation.
My reputation, because I guess we pride ourselves in our office. It's, anybody can throw up a listing, anybody can put up a sign, but actually getting deals to closings, getting to execution, even getting to lease execution is only a portion of the process.
So my wife and I did a couples retreat about getting in alignment with each other on vision. The same thing is in our industry. You got to be in alignment with each other, because ultimately everything is based on relationships in the industry. And the more and more I go into this business, the more I see how small the industry actually is.
It's the questions you ask that will get you the business, right?
That's so true, and that's what I feel a lot of as well, especially with these companies, that we're not. I'm guilty. Yes, some days I feel transactional. You pick up the phone, you send emails. That's transactional. But I think we all need to do a better job on let's slow down from time to time, and let's truly learn about the person. Because me bringing value to John or Travis or Taylor, they're all different types of value. So you've got to understand what the value is that they're looking for or that they need in that current situation. So.